And now we go across the sea to Europe, where modern photographers flip it on its head, where we have, instead of art imitating life, such as the American photographers or American modernists, the surrealists say that life imitates art, that our dreams are really what we know as reality. So here we have Rene Magritte, who makes this painting and writes on it, "This is not a pipe." However, so he's really bringing into question, this is a painting of a pipe, but if someone is to ask what that is, you can't say that it's a pipe because it's not a pipe. It's a painting of a pipe. And so we have this repetition, this questioning of the original object with the representation of the object, with the actual structure that it's on, and then paired with text. So Magritte here is actually taking Duchamp's The Fountain the next step. Again, calling into question this American philosophy of the object as it is represented. However, it takes you and references something totally different. Magritte calls it back into question and says, really, what's going on? What is art? We have Salvador Dali and Man Ray, who collaborate a lot and work back and forth together. Dali is one of the well-known painters of the Surrealist movement. On the left, we have an example of persistence of memory, where the Surrealists believe that subjects of art should come from the unconscious. Here we have the introduction of the philosophy of the subconscious, the id, and the ego, set up and introduced by Sigmund Freud. And so again, it's this going back to Bayard, where there's a constructed image, that it's the imagination of the artist that is able to reveal something that should enlighten people. That here, again, we have life that imitates art. On the right, we have a portrait of Salvador Dali made by the photographer Philippe Helsman in the style of the surrealist paintings that Dali is so well known for. We also have the birth of Dada. Dada, the term really meaning nothing. It's a way to challenge the philosophy of form follows function, with the goal to make useful ready-mades into pointless objects. Man Ray's cadeau, in other words, what is the gift, he's really calling into question the function of the form, that if he puts it together and combines these two objects that have purpose, he creates something without a purpose, or with an ironic purpose. And the Dada, the surrealists, are very pertinent or persistent about this movement, that they're really calling into question the point of objects. Man Ray experiments and pushes the limits of the physicality of film, of the photographic process, of Magritte's treachery of images, really calling into question what is form, what is function, who decides, what is the meaning. We have Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, who proposes what's called the new vision. He experiments like Man Ray, although he, with the new Bauhaus and the Bauhaus in Germany, makes it an applied art. He's the one that predicts images and text being the next literacy for people, that people, just as they're taught how to read and how to write, will be taught how to make a photograph in order to communicate with other people. We have a student of Moholy-Nagy, Carlotta Corcoran, and this is a new photographer, a bonus photographer, this was a woman, a photographer working in Denton, Texas, who taught at Texas Women's University, invited Moholy-Nagy to give a workshop where she really took to heart this experimentation, spirit of experimentation, spirit of discovering the limitations of photography and pushing beyond those boundaries. She's almost a marriage between the American and European philosophies of form follows function, that she explores light and set up scenes in a way that take us into the dream world. And then we also have Claude Cahun, who was a photographer and an active member in the German resistance in France at the time. And so she used her art and herself, her own image, to question um, the structure, the hierarchy of the government at the time. She distributed materials that would subvert government. And so, again, the Europeans, this sense of what's new and being creative, um, took spirit, and Cahun especially challenged not only the political structures and hierarchy, but also gender identity and roles, where she becomes this ambiguous figure questioning, is does sex really matter, um, and then the philosophy that seeing is believing or believing is seeing, where now what is created in the mind is what the artist is believing they can create into what we see.